You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
The Mark 5B Godwin pattern bolter. It's the standard weapon of the Emperor's Angels of Death, the Legiones Astartes. Firing a 75 caliber, self-propelled explosive known as a bolt. It is the perfect weapon for delivering the Emperor's judgment to the Xenos, mutant, and heretic. Emperor be praised.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Call Laura. I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Jerry.
And today we're going to take a smaller step in and look at a smaller thing than normal. It's not a Legion. It's not a Primarch. It's not a world. It's a piece of equipment.
Huh?
We thought we would do for our very first episode, the bolter.
Yeah, very iconic weapon in Warhammer.
It is most definitely. It's probably the second most iconic weapon next to the chainsword, in my opinion. I think the bolter could be confused with another sci-fi weapon, but a chainsword looks like a chainsword.
Yep. Hard to mistake that one.
But that being said, the bolter is it is different than a chainsword in that anybody can wield a chainsword, more or less.
Right.
Only Astartes can wield a true bolter.
Right. Yeah. And that was something I remember in our Hive Cities episode you had to correct me on, because I was like, if I were in whatever scenario, I'd want a bolter, and you're like, you can't.
You get those puny human arms.
Yeah, these little arms.
Both legally and physically, you just couldn't.
That's something else. I thought that was fascinating. It is illegal for somebody else to use one. Just the Astartes or other special circumstances outside of there. Or
like a true bolter, there are like smaller carbine versions that the Adeptus Sororitas use.
Right. Yeah.
And then for like your but even they're wearing power armor.
Right.
But for everybody else, it's the bolter pistol.
Yeah.
But what is a bolter?
Oh, that's a great question.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Eric, I heard from a little birdie that you started with the beginnings of what the bolter ended up taking over for.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's start there. That's a good place to start.
Okay. Brief history lesson. Before the bolter, way back, before the Great Crusade, they were mostly using a weapon called a Volkite weapon.
So this was during the Unification Wars and the pacification of Terra.
Okay, great.
This would have been the Emperor and his Thunder Warriors.
Yes. Yeah. And these were highly destructive weapons that were effectively heat rays. They shot like concentrated beams that could even penetrate like Astartes armor and stuff like that with a...
It was like a concentrated shot.
Yes. Yeah. They had some drawbacks that they ended up running into when they started going into the Great Crusade, because they were very difficult to manufacture and maintain. And their range was limited, at least by comparison to the bolter.
Right.
And once the Great Crusade kicked off, production couldn't keep up basically on those. And so they were kind of replaced over time by the bolter until that became the most common weapon used by the Astartes.
And Volkite weapons are still being used. They're
That's
not
right.
common.
Yeah. No, they're not.
And a lot of them are vehicle mounted.
Ooh, okay, cool. Yeah.
But they are still around.
So, yeah, that's right. I did mean to say for the most part replaced, but yeah, not entirely. So, and they sound pretty sweet. They look pretty cool too. There'll be a picture of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, somewhere along here, or maybe here. We don't know. I said or. It doesn't have to be all of them, future Eric. You calm your tits.
And that's pretty much it for the history lesson. I just wanted to kind of touch on those and see what they replaced. I guess Trader Legions also use older models of the bolter by comparison.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. because after they left.
Because they have the models before the Horus Heresy.
Right. And they weren't supported by, they were developed by the Mechanicum off of SCTs or did I say the acronym right?
SCT, yeah.
SCT.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely the bolter definitely took the Volkite's place, and the bolter is basically, it's that rifle that you see in any picture of a Space Marine.
Yeah. And they are cool. They're like mini missiles.
So it is not accurate, I don't think, to call a bolter a rifle. I think it's more accurately described as like a single man carried artillery device.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a launcher.
Yeah.
It's not even a launcher, because so your grenade launcher uses arc, right?
Yeah.
It's got an initial propellant. This is a combination of an RPG, like a rocket propelled grenade, and a grenade launcher. It's some sort of hybrid.
Yeah. It like self-propels. What the bolt does once it leaves.
Yeah.
The bolter.
So it's got a standard, they call them sickle mags. They're just a standard looking rifle mag that you would see in an AR-15. It carries 25 to 30 rounds. Although I got to tell you, if you look at like any animation of the Space Marines firing their bolters, no.
Yeah. They're just reloading off screen.
No. No, the rate of fire at which it shows them firing those things, I'm like, a 30 round magazine would last seconds. So that's questionable.
Oh man, but the destructive power of like 30 of those puppies is kind of crazy to think about, because they explode basically on impact.
Yep. Well, no, not on impact. So
yeah.
So the bolter round is a 75 caliber projectile. So if you want something comparable, I believe it's about the same diameter as a Red Bull can.
Oh,
jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I'm pretty sure when I looked it up, it's about the same diameter as a Red Bull can. So, I mean, that's
wild.
Stupid large.
God, it just sounds so unnecessary, but it
isn't
necessary.
It is way like bolters are actually considered to be like the standard issue weapon. Like they're destructive, but they ain't all that.
Right. Yeah. Not
like,
in a world like that.
No, there are several versions of orcs or Death Guard or Tyranids that just take stupid amounts of bolter fire and just absolutely nothing.
Keep coming. Which now reading about these, I understand why they say like las guns are flashlights.
Yes.
That destructive power is just something else.
Right. So the Red Bull sized ordnance that it fires. I refuse to call that thing a goddamn bullet. It's a bolt.
Bolt.
They call it
bolt.
a bolt.
Yeah.
It has two versions of propulsion. If anybody knows how a standard bullet works, you have the bullet and you have the casing. The gunpowder is behind the casing. When you pull the trigger, it shoots the firing pin, which causes the firing pin to hit a little cap, which causes a miniature explosion inside the casing and then fires the bullet out through the barrel. Because the self-propellant aspect of the bolter would be too strong on the tolerances of the weapon itself,
right?
It requires a primary charge to get it out of the barrel without damaging it.
So it fires in the gun.
Yep.
And then that ignites the propellant.
Yes.
Well, it fires out of... So imagine that right up until it leaves the barrel, it is a standard bullet.
Okay.
And then once it detects, or it's timed,
it's probably timed, yeah,
that it's left the barrel, it then fires off its rocket, which then sends it forward.
I saw that they have sometimes 4 little rockets inside them that helps them spin.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah. So it's still boring through the air like a bullet.
Right.
Wow.
And it's the detonation is actually timed to be a fraction of a second after impact.
Yes.
So that it explodes inside of whatever it hits.
Right. Right after that penetration, it's got a little timing device in there behind, like a hardened tip made of diamantine. Diamantine, thank you.
Which is just generally considered to be a form of artificial diamond that they can use for construction.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's, hard as a diamond.
Right.
For that penetrating power before the boom. It also has each bolt has what's called a gyro stabilizer on it, which is a sensor that keeps it its equilibrium like in place since it's propelling itself. These days we have gyro stabilizers, and they're used on fucking vehicles like ships and airplanes and stuff like that. So they have little tiny ones on each bolt that fires out of these things. Wild.
Yeah, and for like the Grey Knights, they have ones that have wards carved into them that also have psyker powers.
Yeah.
Blessed into them. So they are a ridiculous weapon. For a human to fire them, it has no stock.
Right.
And simply because there's no need to aim for an Astartes on a multitude of levels. So like it's always fired from the hip. And that's because A, their genetic programming allows them to be that accurate from firing from a hip. B, they're usually so close to the enemy that taking precise shots is not strictly necessary. And C, and in my opinion, the more realistic reason is because their power armor and the helmet they wear actually has an aiming reticle that follows where the barrel of the bolter is pointed.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So they see that
neat.
Represented on their HUD, much like a video game.
Like a display for them
right.
to look at. And also they don't need to worry about the recoil from it.
No.
They are too strong, and so is their armor.
Right.
Yeah.
A regular human, it would just rip the arm out of the socket.
Yeah.
At best.
They have like a black nexus or something that connects with it.
The Black Carapace.
The Black Carapace.
So we are long overdue, and Eric's got the schedule up here. And so while I'm thinking of it, we might actually jump in and change an episode. We need to do one on what is a Space Marine.
Oh, yeah, we do. You're
because
right.
The Black Carapace, we might actually, Eric, we're going to go ahead and fuck them. I'm not part of their religion. We're going to drop History of Mars down, and we'll go ahead and do what is a Space Marine.
Okay.
Because we need to do that right now. Because that's long overdue.
Look at you guys being part of our scheduling.
Space.
Eric, I can't say what that would have said.
Space Marine.
No. But there's an SPEC word.
There is?
I'll let you think on it. Anyway, moving on. I think Jerry understands what I'm saying. It's like you can't. Anyway, the Black Carapace is like the primary organ that makes a Space Marine a Space Marine.
Oh. Okay.
It's where all their genetic information is stored, and so when it's put into the neophyte, it uploads all of the battle genetics from the other Space Marine.
Okay, because the bolters are DNA encoded.
Right, but a Space Marine is always inside of his armor, so how does it read the Space Marine's DNA?
I was wondering that.
The Black Carapace is... So the Space Marine's armor is actually hooked into their body. If they were to remove the Space Marine, the armor, and then the body glove, which they wear underneath it, you would see all kinds of jacks in them. Not unlike what you see in the Matrix, actually.
Huh. Okay.
You know, like how they jack in the
Those
back of their
plugs,
head? Yeah. They have them all over. And what this does is allow the Black Carapace to communicate biosignals to the armor itself and back. So it can read the Space Marine's genetics into the armor and then allow the armor to transmit that information to the bolter.
Whoa.
So that they don't have to take their armor off to DNA ID this.
Man, yeah, you really wouldn't be able to fire a bolter, would you, if you weren't supposed to?
Well, they're coded so that the reason for that is so that regular humans don't pick them up and just blow themselves up with it.
Oh, it's kind of for protection's sake, too.
It also limits trader Marines from being able to
pick up.
Although they've worked ways around that.
Of course they did, but it's still a deterrent measure.
It stops them from doing it right on the battlefield, which is a hell of a help when you're fighting somebody like the World Eaters, where the battlefield is where it matters. They're not really big planners.
Oh, yeah. They just rush in.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
There's all kinds of different variations on this thing. I mean, like, to cover all of them would be a stupidly long episode.
Right. Yeah. And we may do a chapter 2 on it someday where we do cover a more of the I wrote down a couple of different variations, but it doesn't even scratch the surface here.
No. Yeah. And it's important to, like, there's a lot of these things that attach to the bolter that look like what you would think, but they don't work the way you think.
Right.
So like scopes on bolters you don't look through them. It's another field of vision for their armor to be able to cycle into.
Oh, okay. It's basically a camera for their feed on the armor.
Right. So
on the
they
display.
can raise up and look through it, which you'll find some pictures of them doing because I
Right.
think that enhances it even more. But more often than not, they're still firing it from like a low, what we would call a low ready position, I think.
Right.
Oh,
Wow,
neat.
that is wild. I didn't realize the display played so much into how they aimed from the bolter. So they really can just shoot from the hip like cowboys.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Eric, do you have some versions? Because
Yeah, I have a couple of different variations on the bolt types of ammunition. So there was a type of ammunition called the Kraken bolt, which is designed to be armor piercing. It's got most bolts have like a metal core to help with their momentum and stuff.
right. So it's called. Damn it! I just lost it. But anyway, Luton went on this really. He even acknowledged not strictly necessary rant about this core because it's made out of some like hydro material. And what that's supposed to do is the reason why you put a core in something like depleted uranium, which is what they should have just stuck with. They tried to make it sound futuristic.
Uh-huh.
I actually agree with him on this one. We don't agree with a lot of things, but I agree with him on this one. They should have just gone with
deuterium or something.
yeah, something like that. They should have just gone with depleted uranium. It's because it's denser than metal, right? So you can have a
Right.
smaller version of it that just impact.
Has that momentum.
Anyway, so it doesn't really work with like a hydro type material,
Right.
so they should have just kept it uranium.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, it does have a depleted core that's
Yep.
supposed to make it denser and
hit harder and stuff. The Kraken bolt is an exception. It's got an adamantium core instead.
oh, cool,
Apparently
yeah.
that's supposed to help with that. Yeah. And of course a bigger boom to the detonation charge. So that was a fun one. There's the Bane Strike bolt. It was developed by the Alpha Legion.
Yeah,
Maybe. As with all fucking
That's all
things, Alpha
hearsay.
Legion. Yeah.
so proven.
But it was first used by the Traitor Legions at the Drop Site Massacre, and it was designed specifically to penetrate Ceramite armor, Space
Yeah.
Marines armor.
Oh.
It's like their version of armor piercing.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was one I felt,
Betrayal bolts.
betrayal bolts. That's a better name for them. That's what they are from now on.
Oh man.
And then the last one I wrote down here, although there were tons of interesting ones, I have regrets, but here we are. Dragonfire bolts. These were cool because they're more like a hollow shell that's filled with a volatile, superheated, explosive gas.
Nice.
And its job is basically to make sure that taking cover is obsolete because that gas explodes out of it on impact. And if you're taking cover, you're still caught in it.
Yeah, it's almost like a steam bullet, like like compressed superheated air.
Yeah. So that one sucks. I want to be able to hide, damn it. Yeah.
Did you guys know that there were bolters that are sized up for Titans?
What?
Oh. Titans with bolters, no.
There is the Hurricane bolter.
Oh. Maybe okay. I may have known this back at the Titan episode, but I have completely forgotten. Okay.
Yeah, so the Hurricane bolter, I believe, is the one that has 4 rotating barrels.
Oh,
Jeez.
oh no.
There is the Vortex bolter. So we haven't covered this, obviously, but Vortex weapons are weapons that create miniature black holes.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
So there's a thing called a Vortex grenade, and it creates a black hole on the battlefield that bounces. It's unstable. So
Oh no. So it's just bouncing the fuck around on the battlefield.
yeah. But there are Vortex bolters that are strapped to Titans, and each bullet basically creates a mini black hole wherever it hits. Now, it is a lot more stable, as I understand it, than a Vortex grenade,
Okay. Right.
but nevertheless,
Still.
There's a lot of things you could use that against.
Yeah.
and they do.
Man, that even in 40K, that sounds like it should be a war crime.
Exterminatus, are you serious?
You've broken the
That's-
fabric of reality.
I know, it's like you're putting life itself at risk, aren't you? Like, what if the whole planet gets sucked into this thing? If it gets like, I feel like there's a lot that could go
I
wrong.
bet a Vortex grenade. I bet that's happened.
Ooh, cool. Okay,
I bet that's happened.
neat. Wild.
I'll tell you kind of a cool fact I found out about like the Hurricane bolter. It's just like a 4-barrel rotating bolter, right?
Yeah.
They actually use them on their own Titans most of the time. What the Titan will do is wade into infantry, and then the infantry will start scaling the Titan, and then the other Titan will turn around and just hose all the infantry off of the legs of the Titan because it doesn't do much damage to the other Titan. It's a way of gathering all the infantry into like one area.
Oh my gosh.
Strategy.
That's cool. That's a cool strategy. Man, imagine just being this little guy like climbing like hundreds of feet up this guy like we're besieging this walking machine.
Then all of a sudden,
First of all, the gall.
I know the gall of it. I know.
I mean, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
What are you going to do against it?
And then just his buddy next to him is just like, oh, you got a little something there. Let me just...
Can you just
awesome.
imagine being like, because that's like, if you're on the legs of a Titan, that's exposed.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to hide. And all of a sudden you hear, whoa, 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 as the barrels start like revving up. You're like, oh, I mean,
what do you do?
Nothing.
There's nothing to do.
There's nothing.
Jump?
You might maybe be able to like shimmy yourself onto the other side of the legs. Because I mean, you have to think the legs are.
Yeah. Like they have contours to them.
And they're like 8 people wide or some stupid shit.
Right.
So if you can get onto the other side of it, you know.
Yeah. Just on the inner thigh of it. Just
Yeah.
like, oh God. Okay.
Rest under the balls.
Yeah. Under the balls.
Protect yourself under the balls.
Titan safety.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. So can anybody, what else? Anybody?
So, okay, I'll say this. The bolter, like coming in as a layman, it's so common in the lore that you don't understand the importance of it right away. Sometimes, or at least I
just
didn't.
like the size of what you're talking about.
Yeah, the scale of it and the religious significance of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
they are
venerate these things.
Yeah.
Not even. So,
yeah, they're maintained with like rituals and stuff like that.
a bolter, every bolter is made in basically a forge world. It's made out of like the highest grade parts that they can. It's under lockdown. The ammo is under lockdown.
Right.
Like the penalties for possessing even a single round of ammunition is I would say death, but it's probably more like servitorship.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
This I'll tell you one statistic that I kept hearing that was interesting. So one of the reasons why beyond the fact that, you know, it does scale down slightly. They have bolter pistols.
Right.
But another reason why they don't scale down the bolter rifle to human size is because it is a very complicated mechanism that requires a lot of maintenance compared to the las rifle.
Right. Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I'm actually starting to think that your average Astro Militarum member or Imperial Army member is like middle school level intelligence.
Oh, no kidding. Like what our
version of
level.
like,
Wow.
I don't think they train them very much before
They
they
do-
put them out there.
right.
Oh,
but
no.
I'm just talking like as a general intelligence level.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that the bolter is not much more complicated than not field stripping, but actually taking apart like an AR or an M4.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to remember that like technology there, while it's complicated, it doesn't have to be real complicated for it to be out of reach for most people
For
in the Imperium.
for the average cog in the machine. I see what you mean. Yeah, because that's a great point. When, you know, the way the Imperium operates, you really wouldn't need to know much more than what your career is, you know.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm betting the las rifle is like 3 or 4. But it's probably like taking apart a Glock versus taking apart an AR-15. For those of you that know the difference, so a few of us that listen.
Yeah, totally.
The comment section will tell me who knows.
Oh boy.
It won't. That comment section is quiet as a graveyard. That's just how I like it. No comments means no bad comments.
Yeah. Although we do get some good,
we do.
informative comments.
We do for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to call out a good correction that we got in the comment section of a recent video we did, but I
What?
don't have that in
Comment?
front of me.
Correction. Us.
You know. So yeah.
Harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
So actually, it wouldn't hurt to check out the comments every now and again just to see.
Yeah,
you know, 'cause,
absolutely.
Yeah, our Our job is to learn along with you guys and to help inspire the learning
Yeah,
of it.
like
So,
we've been even I, who's been in this lore the longest. It's
Yes.
only been 3 or 4 years. There are people that grew up with this stuff, that steeped in it,
right.
soaked in it, marinated, juiced in it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of neat information that we have to learn sometimes in the comments section after the shows come out,
It's funny. I'm not going to say what Cult Talk Net member said this. It's not anybody sitting at the table, but somebody goes, "Man, Cult of Lore has like the most pedantic commenters I've ever seen." And I'm like, well, 40K is a pedantic lore, man.
It is,
Like, I
yeah.
don't like, that's just the way it rolls.
It is information dense.
It is. Yeah. It is the fruitcake of lore.
Yeah.
Dense as fuck and not for everyone.
I still learn something every episode.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm a noob.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and yeah.
I
I
mean,
do too, and I've been in it for a little bit longer than you, and
every time I have to research something, I learn something new, and then I forget something that I've learned, and then I relearn it again.
Right. Yeah. That's a good way of describing it. That is what my experience has been like too.
I will say there was one, I think it's called the Corvus pattern. No, that's the armor. There is a bolter pattern that was, I'm gonna have to look it up now. God damn it.
I did see that humans could use the bolter if it was mounted.
Yes.
And like
Yeah.
on a machine or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's right. There are some machine like vehicle mounted bolters and stuff like that, and some human pattern ones. So it's really only illegal to use the Astartes pattern. I can't remember the name.
The
of that.
Godwin pattern.
Godwin pattern.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. 5B. It's a VB. 5B. I know.
VB.
VB.
Where is it? Footfall. There it is. The footfall pattern bolter. I did want to make. I thought this was fascinating
Okay.
because it never occurred to me that there would be such things as knockoffs.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard about these.
I didn't.
Yeah. So the footfall pattern bolter is a knockoff pattern of bolter that is sold to gang members in hive cities.
Oh, so I might be able to get a bolter anyway in the.
Well, so the thing is they one of two ways. Devastating firepower that you're then going to have to consider how you're going to be able to afford the ammunition for it, because it's actually one of the scams.
Oh.
Like, you get the weapon and then it's like hundreds of whatever they use of currency, because it differs between gangs and
Right.
hives and so on and so forth. Hundreds of thousands of whatever that currency is for a single round.
Oh my God.
And then there's a high likelihood that it's just going to blow up and kill you, because it's designed to look like a bolter, but it doesn't actually have to fire,
And then you
because
can't-
they won't allow you to test fire it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a crapshoot.
Yeah. You don't get to leave a 1-star review if you're dead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, let me just say that it's been my experience that sometimes 1-star reviews don't do exactly what the people think they do.
No,
So,
sometimes they have no effect at all. It's
none
fine.
whatsoever.
Sometimes they're real funny.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes they are.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I think that about covers it for this episode.
Okay, good deal.
This is a shorter one, but these are just like fun. People
Yeah.
really like the kind of just equipment and everyday hum ones.
Yeah. And I will say this, if it's okay, one of the reasons that this is a shorter episode is because I do have a special kitty in my life who is, getting on in years and has recently been put into palliative care. And so, these guys have been gracious in allowing me some more time to spend with helping with her care and spending some quality time with her. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anybody who's ever listened to us for even 2 episodes know that Gypsy is the unofficial 4th host.
Yeah.
We're all animal lovers here.
Yeah,
and,
we
like,
are. And
that's-
we're all family. And you'll
Yeah.
find a very cute picture of her right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this podcast is great. Our fans are great. We're trying to build something here, but everything has to come with perspective. So
Yeah.
that's no problem whatsoever.
So,
But we will return to our regularly scheduled length, girth, and fun when time allows.
Yeah. So, no, it's been great.
Any
Do I wrap-
closing? Yeah, let's do some closing thoughts. Anybody got closing thoughts? Jerry, you said your usual 6 sentences per episode, so try to get a 7th in here.
Well, we can all tell the bolter's pretty cool. Is that good?
That technically
Yeah.
counts as a
It does. Heck yeah.
There was a capital letter at the beginning and a period at the end, probably a comma in the middle. We'll take it.
Subject.
Eric, closing thoughts.
I love the variety in them. I really would like to revisit these sometime and check out the variations and stuff like that. And the the holy significance to them was kind of undersold to me initially. So I thought that was pretty. Now I realize it can't be understated.
So what? Yeah, when dealing with anything with the Astartes, whether it's their armor or their weapons, you always have to remember that it always comes with a lot of incense, a lot of oil burning, a lot of praying, and a lot of chanting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that includes their bolters.
Yep. Maybe I'll take some pointers for my.
Oh man, our laptop is in palliative care. Let me tell you.
Yeah, please like, share, and subscribe.
We need a new one. Something fierce.
What about you?
I have to agree with you. A lot of the time when you read, especially, I go through the books a lot, you lose perspective on just how powerful these things are.
Yeah.
But it's also, that's kind of the way 40K kind of does. When you're reading about the Space Marines, it's easy to forget that each of these guys is like 6 to 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
Some of them in the 8 foot range. Primarchs are 9.
Right.
It's easier with the Primarchs because even the Astartes are commenting on how big these guys are.
Awed by them. Yeah.
Yeah. But when it comes to the Astartes themselves and their equipment, it is very easy to lose sight of just how big their average equipment is.
Right. And just how shock and awe they are. To the layman in this world, it's like angels coming down from the sky.
Yeah. Oh, and Luton touched on this point. I do want to touch on it real quick because you can call me a copy or whatever you want, but the way he summed it up, I think is best. The subject of reloading and ammunition, where do the Astartes keep their spare magazines on the bolters?
Oh.
They do have the capability of turning basically any flat plate, it would appear, of their armor into a maglock. They can turn it into a magnetics.
Just kind of slap it on there like a magnet on a fridge.
So then that leads to ask, how come you never see any magazines on their armor?
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Why do you never see that?
So I want you all to have a good night, and we will return next month with I think it's going to be Garrow.
Wait.
There is no answer.
Oh,
they just don't. Never have. I would be cool with seeing Astartes with pouches and things, but I don't know. I don't know if it's an aesthetic choice or whether they just never bothered.
Right. Yeah, my bet would be an aesthetic choice, more or less. Yeah.
But there's no in-lore answer for this.
Interesting. I didn't even know the answer to that. I mean, that question
But
existed.
also, I would just like to say that, like, nobody gives Master Chief shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He maglocks his weapons, but where's those spare magazines coming from?
Yeah. Good point.
No.
Yeah, good point.
Anyway, actually, we're going to be... No, I can't tell you what the next episode's going to be. That's...
Yep. Teaser.
That's
all right.
That episode's either going to do really well or really bad. We'll see what happens.
Just wait and see.
You all surprised us with American Tall Tales. I want to thank you guys for that one.
Seriously, we really appreciate the attention that's got. That was a very fun episode for us to do.
Yeah. Really glad you guys enjoyed it too.
Yeah, that's a Hail Mary episode that we don't, when we do these off ones, we don't know what's going to happen. You guys responded great, so thank you.
Yeah. Beat out the Eldar.
Everything beats out the Eldar. Literally everything. Everything beats out the Eldar. All right, so we'll wrap it up.
Okay. Closing.
Closing what?
Closing
tell them where
stuff.
we're at. Yeah, we got to do housekeeping. Harumph.
As always, check us out at Cult Talk Net into Google. We'll help you find all of the things. We've got other great shows. Cult Talk's Conspiracy, where they talk about all sorts of different conspiracy theories and dive into that. That's with Bailey and Ty. Cult of Campbell, where we talk about Bruce Campbell movies and all things related to that big handsome chin. Recently now we've also got a mini series snuck in by Michael and Ty.
Oh yeah. American Pie Slices. It's a retrospective look at the movie American Pie, and it's the two of them sitting around and really taking it 6 episodes, just focusing on the one movie. So it's a deep dive, and it's a lot of fun to listen to. I've checked it out. So there, housekeeping. We also have a merch store.
Oh my God, that's right, merch. We have merch.
I almost forgot.
Yeah, Cult Shop Net. We'll have a link in the description.
Is Ty responsible for that?
Ty is responsible for that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah,
it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it is pretty neat stuff.
I'll tell you what, the American Pie Slices has a shirt that's pretty baller. It's that old kind of. It's got an old design to it. Looks kind of old, like back in the 90s kind of design to a t-shirt. And I actually thought that's one of the ones that I thought was pretty cool. Seeing our faces on stuff is fucking weird.
I know.
I thought it was neat. I want a mug.
You want a mug?
Do you want a mug with your mug on it?
I just want to kiss my face while I'm drinking coffee.
A mug with a mug on it. That was good. And face smooches is interesting.
If I can get all
Interesting
three of us
choice.
on it, even better.
Oh, wow. That's,
Special.
yeah.
Okay.
So make Jerry happy and check out. You guys can kiss the mug too if you want to. If you go to CultShop.net and
don't tell us about it.
do that.
Kiss
You
the
can.
You don't have to. But you'll find a link in the description,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So,
Anything, we're trying to make money now, I guess.
yeah. Hey, it helps us do more with the show.
Yeah.
Um.
The quotes are getting to reach about the limit of what we can do with our capabilities now. So it's time to start investing in that. And that's my main priority. So
Yeah.
to
So
help us move forward on those. We would love to eventually get to where we can just do a whole episode that's just like an audio drama.
which would be just amazing.
That's
I
what-
yearn for it.
Yep, that's what we're
Yeah.
trying. So the quotes are going to probably get longer, and we're going to
And
experiment
more
with
intricate.
that. More
and-
intricate until we're
yeah.
able to actually do that.
Yeah. So, and you guys can help us. Help. You already help us
Already
out by
do
viewing.
help us, yep.
Yeah. So
But
your
you can help
support is
us more
great.
with your money.
All right. I think that about does it.
Yep. Okay, with that, guys, this is another episode of Call to Lore. I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
Now I got a bolt.
Thanks, guys.
That's good. That's good.